the American 250th, which we're in the middle of a years-long celebration of the founding of the United States. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Welcome to the Burke County Courthouse, which you are in, and most importantly, the Burke County Courtroom, which you are sitting in right now. And how many of you are from Burke County? How many of you are not from Burke County? Oh, we've got some people. Where are you guys from?
Mount Holly.
Mount Holly, so down there, Charlotte.
I grew up in Lenore County.
Okay, Lenore County. Lenore County down east. Yes. All right. So it may surprise you to know that prior to 1777, this was not Burke County. It was Rowan County. And Rowan County, for those that don't remember, the county seat is Salisbury. Okay? And in 1771, the city fathers, or the people that lived here, there was no city, said, we'd like to have a county of our own up here. And they were denied by the colonial legislature. And then 1777 comes along, and we are now at war and in rebellion against the crown. We've declared ourselves to be an independent state, and the state granted this area to be Burke County, named for Thomas Burke, who lived down near Hillsborough. He was a lawyer and a doctor and a member of the Continental Congress, and he never came here. And so this became Burke County. And when I give these talks, I don't let you just sit there. You're going to have to talk, and you're going to have to think. So I want you to think. The first question is, why would anybody want to create a county? What is the purpose of a county?
Taxation.
Taxation, which lends to what entity? Government. A plus. You create counties because of government. And why not just use the government that exists down in Rowan County, or what is Rowan County, which this was, and go down to Salisbury for a business? You have got to get in the mindset, we are not living in 2025 now. We're in 1777. Were there cars? Were there highways? Were there trains? None of that. Were there roads? Probably not. How did you get from one place to another? If you were lucky, on horse. If you weren't, you walked. How long do you think it'd take you to walk to Salisbury? Probably 2 weeks, okay? And suppose you, sir, are a sheriff and you have just arrested a dangerous criminal. You're going to take him to trial. You got to take him to Salisbury. Morning, noon, and night guarding him. He's dangerous. That's a problem, right? You agree? That would be a problem. So, what would you think would be the first official building built in a new county? Bingo. That's an easy one. A courthouse. This was not the first courthouse. This was about the fourth courthouse. The first courthouse was actually, when they created, they immediately needed a place to hold trials, and they used Mr. Charles Smith's house down near Hickory. Hickory was not Catawba County. Hickory did not exist. It was just a home down there, and he was a wealthy man and big enough to have a courtroom, and so that was the courthouse. The second courthouse, if anybody knows or goes shopping at Food Line at the corner of Fleming and Highway 70, Fleming Bypass, there's a Food Line there. That's where the second courthouse was. It didn't last very long. It was ramshackle, and so they said at that point the war was over. The Patriots had won. This was creating the new town of Morgantown, named for Daniel Morgan, the hero of cowpens. And before they could build the square, they said, we've got to move the business to the center part of where the business is, the town square. And while it's being built, we'll have this where Treats is, which is right here, and Treats is where the third courthouse was. It also happened to be McIntyre's Tavern, so it was probably both a courthouse and a tavern. So after you convict the criminals, you can go have a tall one, right? So, the fourth courthouse is where your stage is, where you're gonna be watching music tonight, okay? That was the fourth courthouse, built in 1800. By 1830, it was so ramshackly and falling in that they finally said, we've got to have something more permanent. And so they hired a Scottish stonemason named James Biddy, and they built this over 6 years. What we're sitting in now, it is thick stone walls. It is now stuccoed on the outside. The cupola or the capstone was changed in 1903, and you could go down and look at pictures of this. Okay, so this building has existed as a courtroom from 1837 to 1976. 140 some years of courtroom and legal stuff happened in this very room. For several years, it was the only courthouse in the entire western half of the state. So this is a very, very famous place. Now, it wouldn't take you much to envision, this is obviously not being used as a courtroom now, that this looks like a courtroom, sort of, doesn't it? And y'all are seated in part, courtroom places have different names associated with them. You are seated in what would be called what?
The juror's box.
No, that's not correct. Because how many jurors do you have at the trial? Well, I see about 140 seats here, so that is not correct. No? Who sits out here?
Here.
The peer, yes, that's not a bad answer. The peers, just the public, yes. The public gets to come in. In the United States, are trials secret, private, or are they public events? They're public events. You can come and watch. But in 1837, not everybody could come and watch. You aren't allowed. You aren't allowed. You aren't allowed. You're not allowed for sure. He's allowed. I'm allowed. What's the difference? Men. Only men come in and watch the trials, and no children, and certainly no African Americans because they were all enslaved and they weren't citizens anyway. So only a select number of people was really allowed. So things have changed.
Dr. Lafferty?
Yes.
You have a question over here.
What was their age for children? 1860? When did
Oh, I would think, probably about 18, you know, I would guess. But certainly if you own property. Now, I want to do a disclaimer. What I'm wearing is very appropriate for the Revolutionary War. If I was an attorney in 1830, I would not look like this. The styles have changed. So this is Revolutionary War era clothing, and different people of different social classes wore different things. Mr. Anderson and Mr. Patton are more dressed like commoners, common people that would just have a small farm. I'm dressed more like a gentleman or a gentleman farmer. I probably owned slaves, and I had a large plot of land, and I had nicer clothing and a nicer belt buckle there, Benjamin Franklin belt buckle. So that's the difference. Okay, so you've got, this is the gallery, what they call the gallery. Okay. Over here, this gentleman is sitting, is the jury box, right? What's up here? The judge. Everybody gets that one right. The judge and the judge's chambers. In fact, those were the judge's chambers. And you've got a couple of tables that would be here. Who sits here? Prosecution, the defense, the attorneys are here. Right. And I'm going to borrow you for a minute. Come on up here. Everybody gets to look at this eventually, but this is just the way we have to do it. When this place quit being used in 1976, it fell into disrepair. And this is what it looked like in around 1980. It's not very good. And this place was within 2 weeks of being torn down literally for a parking lot. They needed a parking lot downtown, and somebody, thank goodness the DAR, stopped them and said, you're about to tear down a very historical building. We're not going to let you do it. And they raised the money, and it was about $1 million to restore this. I wanted you to see the picture, and you can in fact see the jury box, can't you? And see the judge's chamber, the judge and the table for the counsel. The one thing that's missing here is that railing. You see the railing?
I do.
You see the railing in that picture? Okay, I'll let you sit down. You will testify that there is a railing.
There's a railing.
Okay, there's a railing. What is the railing called? It's got a name. We have gallery, jury box, judge's bench. The railing has a very important name. You will know it, you'll be embarrassed to know it. What do you think a railing is for?
Banister.
Huh?
Banister.
You're close. It's you're getting there. It is a barrier between y'all and the people up here, which are football and truck. Or what would you call that? What is the exam? What is the exam that a lawyer takes to become a lawyer?
Bar.
That's the bar. That's the literal bar that ran right here in all courtrooms. We say, well, I don't remember there being a bar when I turned on Perry Mason on TV. Yes, they do. Remember when they let a witness up, they have that little swinging door and they go through. That's the bar. And every courtroom has that. So when you pass the bar exam, you can literally pass the bar if I'm an attorney and I'm allowed in this area, and only you get to come if I'm calling you as a witness, as a layperson, to give testimony in a trial. Okay, so that's the deal here. So, what do we use this for? Well, we use it for stuff like this. We use it for swearing in ceremonies for lawyers. A lot of lawyers want to come here. Very famous attorney, of course, Sam Ervin, practiced law here. And, Watergate fame, the United States Senate. We use it for weddings have been held here and theatrical productions. We have had theater companies. And a courtroom of this age is going to have some interesting things. We have one very interesting thing that happened in November of 1851. In about 1840, McDowell County was created. Why do you think it was created? I've already explained it to you. The people that lived up there had problems bringing people here for trial or having their property adjudicated. You know, if you buy property, you'd like a piece of paper that says you really own it and it's official, and here are the boundaries. So Mr. Smith, my nasty neighbor, isn't encroaching on my property. That all takes government, okay, to draw it out. So there was a new court system up in McDowell County. There were very few lawyers in the 1850s up here. There was a lawyer that lived here that also tried cases up there. His name was Waitzel Avery. Very famous name. Anybody know where Avery Avenue is? Down here. Okay, you do. Named for the Averys. Waitzel Avery, the younger, is who we're going to be talking about. His grandfather was also Waitzel Avery. He was the first Attorney General of North Carolina. In his earlier life, he lived in Charlottetown, signed the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence before he moved up here. And his grandson was an attorney also. And this attorney, Mr. Avery the Jr., was a very sickly, frail person. Probably could not have worked as a farmer because of health conditions. He probably had rheumatic fever, had a heart problem. But he was trying a case in McDowell, the new McDowell County, against a man named Samuel Fleming. Samuel Fleming was a businessman up there in Yancey County and had probably cheated people in business. Somebody sued him. Mr. Avery had come in on the side of the people that had been cheated by Mr. Sam Fleming. A big, hulking guy that would have been a football player had he lived in the 21st century. There he is. And Mr. Avery was finishing the trial. Mr. Sam Fleming lost. Mr. Sam Fleming was not happy with the outcome of the trial, and he was a bruising man. And as Mr. Avery was unhitching his horse to go out back to Burke County, Mr. Fleming, I don't want you to sit on me, Officer Justice! And beat him within an inch of his life. And he got on his horse, rode back to Burke County, and recovered, and was in a trial 2 weeks later in this room in November of 1851. The court had reconvened after lunch, and it was in the middle of an active trial. There were people in the gallery, just like you are. There was a jury. There was a counsel. And lo and behold, but let me go back and say that in those days, if a honor had been besmirched of a gentleman, generally he would call for what of the other party? A duel, yes. For some reason there was not a duel. They had, but his friends had said, you've got to do something with Mr. Fleming. I do not know if he had advance knowledge on that day that Mr. Fleming would show up, but in fact, the record shows that Mr. Fleming rode into town, rode around this very block, hitched his horse, came up those stairs, entered the courtroom. There's Mr. Fleming himself, and he walks past the bar illegally and starts to approach Mr. Avery, and Mr. Avery pulls the gun out and shoots him. He falls dead right here on this spot. Now you all can say that you have actually been at a murder scene. It was right here. In 1851, Mr. Fleming was hit through the heart, falls dead, and was unarmed. And you had, all of you all saw it. You saw it, didn't you?
Yeah.
And the judge saw it, and the attorney saw it, and they had no recourse but to arrest Mr. Avery for murder and say, we're going to have a trial. Mr. Avery retains Mr. Woodford from Asheville to defend him, and they start thinking, you know, we know he shot him, we know that everybody saw it, but you know Mr. Avery is the most popular man in this town. And Mr. Fleming is probably the least popular man in this area. And you know, under the truth of real justice, he got what was coming to him. But we've got this problem. If he gets convicted, he's going to be hung. And we can't have that. So what are we going to do? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to present in front of the jury a legal theory that on the very moment that he pulled that gun out, he was temporarily insane. He was so insane with passion that he has had to shoot Mr. Fleming. And it was a very friendly Burke County jury, and here are the jurors, and they come back in 10 minutes with a verdict of
Not guilty.
thank you, not guilty. Mr. Avery gets off scot-free. Mr. Fleming, that bad guy back there, gets no justice. His body's rotting in the grave. And that, my friends, is a true story of the murder in the courthouse. The take-home lesson is, in 1851 in Burke County, and maybe to this day, if you know the right people and you are the right person, you can get away with. Thank you.